All right. What is success? How do you personally define success? I ask every guest on this show the same question. How do you define success? And the answers vary. So I wanted to go to the experts. I have a book right here. My sister gave me this book. This is the Book of Positive Quotations. I pull out this book often, and there's a full chapter on success here. That's making dreams come true. That's not the worst. On success. And so I highlighted some. I'll read them off to you. These are quotes from people who should know what they're talking about. The first one, the successful person is the individual who forms the habit of doing what the failing person doesn't like to do. That is Donald Riggs. The next one, nature gave men two ends, one to sit on and one to think with. Ever since then, man's success or failure has been dependent on the one he used most. I like that one. George Kirkpatrick. This one is one that I really like. If one advances confidently in the direction of his dreams and endeavors to live the life which he has imagined, he will meet with success unexpected in common hours. That is Henry David Thoreau. The next one, success follows doing what you want to do. There is no other way to be successful. That's Malcolm Forbes. Next one, also this is Abraham Lincoln, by the way. Always bear in mind that your own resolution to success is more important than any other thing. And then as we head to the Bible, he did it with his heart and prospered. That's 2 Chronicles 31:21. Robert F. Kennedy said, only those who dare to fail greatly can ever achieve greatly. And another banger from Thoreau says, success usually comes to those who are too busy to be looking for it. Albert Einstein's got a little bit different take. He says, try not to become a man of success, but rather a man of value. On this next one, I realized early on that success was tied to not giving up. This is an actor's perspective. Most people in this business gave up and went on to other things. If you simply didn't give up, you would outlast the people who came in on the bus with you. Harrison Ford. And then Benjamin Disraeli, the secret of success is constancy of purpose. I think this last one by the famous NCAA basketball coach for UCLA is my favorite and defines what it means to live an Ascent life here on this show. Success is peace of mind, which is a direct result of knowing you did your best to become the best that you are capable of becoming. So hope that clears up the definition of success for you. Hint, it varies. Welcome to the show. I'm your host, R. Brandon Long, and this is Ascent Life Live. We're here with the mission to inspire 1 million people a day to live their best lives and be the best version of themselves. This is Ascent Life Live. Please subscribe to the show on YouTube at my page, R. Brandon Long. Follow me on X under R. Brandon Long. And for daily visual inspiration, you can follow on Instagram at Ascent Life. And I made it under TikTok as well under our Brandon Long. Reminder, we're live 4 days a week. Episodes are then uploaded as a podcast to your favorite podcast outlets, including Spotify and Apple, as the Ascent Life podcast. If you're watching live, I think we're live on YouTube this time, as well as X. You can drop a comment or question, and we'll get to those in the chat if there are any before the end of the show. So, introducing our guest today is founder, CEO of Biznis Resource, Biznis Resource, offering coaching. It's my favorite phrase, by the way. You play with words a little bit. Coach consulting and sales and business plans and more. So, Michael Westover, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Thank you for coming on the show. So first of all, let's kind of, for those of the audience who are just getting to know who you are and what you do, you didn't graduate high school and start selling businesses, right? You took a little bit of a trek to get there. So what's sort of the background of your work history and how you came to have business resources or resource?
Yeah. So, high school career was so important to my future.
Right off the bat. Yeah.
Good times in high school.
Yeah.
Good times in college. I served a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Spain and Africa. So I learned a little Spanish there.
Yeah.
I learned, interacted with a lot of great people from Africa and learned that you don't necessarily need to have a lot to be happy. let's see, was a school principal for many years, and started a business of my own to help schools. So I ran a consulting company for a bit there, ran several schools simultaneously. That pretty much burnt me out after my 20 years of community service working for schools.
Lightly paid, I guess. Is that, yeah.
Yeah. I thought, well, I think businesses need similar things. We would go into these charter schools, for instance, and they had great missions, they had great people, but navigating the red tape of the government and the systems was harder than most would think. And so they just needed a lot of help in a lot of different ways. And so, we're not our grandparents anymore. We don't have to do the same thing for 50 years. So I thought, hey, why don't I do something else? And I bet there's a bunch of business owners who could use help with their businesses.
Yeah, and that's funny you say that, because it's changed a lot as far as career. I mean, I personally have changed careers, I don't know, at least 3 times. And I mean, like, from retail to marketing to podcast, like careers, wasn't even the same vein or something. And so did you have some nervousness about that, or did you feel pretty confident of like, yep, no, I'm going to change. I'm going to do something different now?
Yeah. I mean, I enjoy learning and growing. But yes, there's definitely risk involved. There's definitely some fear involved. When I jumped from the district principal position to a business, my own company, and doing consulting, that was a big risk. That was scary too, but immediately just had tons of clients needing help with their schools. And so I just took the leap, and at the end of the day, helping businesses, frankly, is 10 times easier than helping schools. I mean, public schools at least have, there's taxpayer dollars involved, and there's lots of laws and rules and regulations. And so businesses can be complex, don't get me wrong, but they're easier. So it actually worked out great.
Okay, so on the show, we do like to highlight, it's like visual inspiration of the day, but it's mostly just Instagram accounts. And I'm wondering if you're familiar with this person. Let me pull her up here. Cody Sanchez. She has a new book out, Main Street Millionaire, where she talks about, getting wealthy by buying ordinary businesses. So if you're not following Cody Sanchez, look her up on Instagram, Cody, Codie Sanchez on Instagram. I mean, she has 2.3 million followers, so she's doing all right. But, young and pretty and easy to consume her products, her information, her content. She's out there all the time putting stuff out there, and it's good stuff. And she's in it, man. Like, she's buying businesses all the time. And so she kind of just details what she does. And that's what you do. You help people buy businesses, which is similar, and sell businesses. And so how come we should buy small business? Why is that easier than starting your own business?
Yeah. And I get people referring, hey, have you seen this? And they'll text it to me.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, she has great content. Good for her. Happy for her. But sure, I have people reaching out every week to the website. A lead comes in and says, hey, I really want to start this business. And so we can help people start a business. There's a number of steps we can walk them through to save some pain and suffering. It's really not that complicated. None of the steps are necessarily hard, but you do need to go through some steps. What I usually end up telling them, though, is unless it's something crazy unique, look, I've got 3 of these businesses for sale right now. And because the person selling it didn't really prepare or plan ahead, it's at a fire sale price. And so you have a choice. You can either spend all your money and time and effort, blood, sweat, and tears, and 5 years trying to get it to where this is, or you can just pay them this small price. And so that's just the honest truth. If there are businesses currently in the industry with clients, cash flow that's for sale, it may look like it's a lot of money, but trust me, it's probably a lot less than doing it yourself.
Yeah. And the flip side of that, and you mentioned this on a podcast we had you on before, is that if you own a business and you want, and this is fascinating to me, and you want out or you want to pass it on to family or something, have it looked at, because apparently too many businesses get sold or handed off without being properly evaluated for way less money than they're worth.
Absolutely. Yeah, I do business valuations all the time, at least one a day, it seems like. Our country is run by small businesses. Main Street, State Street is just full of small businesses. And the sad part is most of these people getting up early and going to work and working long hours just literally have no idea what their business is worth. And they have no idea how to exit that business, or if they can exit it, how to scale. And so that's where I come in, and I do free consultations. I can jump on the phone with someone for a half hour and just walk them through the process, the timeline, how much it costs. And I can just feel the weight of these people literally lifting off their shoulders, because it's just something in the back of their mind they've been worried about for years and years and years and years. And I can help bring, I guess, peace to them that there is an exit. You can get paid for what you've done.
Yeah. What are some of the businesses that are hot right now? Like, and we should say we're in Utah, and I don't know if you list businesses out of Utah or not, but what are some of the ones that like everybody either wants or are selling well or something?
Yeah, I've got a lot of soda businesses right now.
Okay.
Man.
Soda's hot in Utah.
Yeah. I'm not kidding you.
Yeah.
Maybe five soda businesses.
Oh.
And cookie businesses. Those two seem to be very common. Cleaning businesses. We some marketing businesses, done some of those. So really I've sold everything from auto shops, tow companies, service-based landscaping, just sold one of those, two of those actually, to more professional type businesses like dental offices, dental businesses, or marketing agencies, things like that.
Yeah. Are some harder to evaluate than others?
Sure. Businesses that have a lot of what we call goodwill, if there's IP involved in it.
Yeah.
Maybe there aren't a lot of tangible assets. Some businesses clearly come with, vehicles or equipment. Some businesses not so much, but they have this patent or trademark, or they have this process that's super unique, that's, secret sauce of, or something.
Yeah.
And that can be difficult to evaluate, to put a dollar number on, but there's definitely value there. And so you have to try some different things.
Well, I asked you this before, and what about influencers, or someone who has a big audience on social media? Is that currency when it comes to selling, and how's that evaluated?
Yeah, it's similar to the IP question, right?
Okay.
If you can monetize anything, like if you can show that we have this many subscribers or this many likes or this many followers, and as a result, these products, I just keep getting more. I'm adding a new sponsorship every week or every month, and you have to be able to track success, and whether it's in likes, followers, whatever. Then if we can show a trajectory, a positive trajectory where you're just growing, then you can kind of attach some dollar symbols to that and say, oh, the average ad spend is for this, and attach some dollars that way.
And this is a little harder question, but what would be some of the businesses that have, it's like tight margins, harder to make money on kind of things?
Restaurants.
Oh, really?
Yeah, restaurants can be really tough.
Okay.
Obviously, if you find the right model, you can hit it big and, open up several. But even then, sometimes things go well for a couple of years in restaurants, and then they kind of die down. You're beholden to so many factors with, food prices. Any gas prices go up, it affects all the food prices. Employees, you have all these employees you've got to cover payroll for. So I would say restaurants can be tough to manage.
How's retail doing right now?
Retail can be great. E-commerce can be great. Again, you've got to have the right product or service, and sometimes those go in trends. So you just got to find. I think I mentioned this before. It's like buying and selling stock, right? You want to buy low, sell high, and so you can't always know when exactly that high. You want to sell before it plateaus or starts to decline, and you want to buy when it's really just getting started, and you can see a a strong trajectory, but you don't know the future. So
Yeah.
business is risk.
Yeah.
Business transactions are risky. So you try to mitigate that as much as possible with research and with planning.
And by hiring you.
Yeah, I can help with that too.
Yeah.
And you win some and you lose some, but you never want to invest more money than you have to spend, to survive.
Yeah. But that's your job then is like kind of like a real estate broker, but for businesses, in other words. And so you can go in and negotiate the deal, I guess.
Yep.
What's like one of the hardest deals you've had to negotiate?
Oh, wow. Franchises can be tough sometimes because you have a third party involved. It's not the buyer and seller. There's
Yeah.
a franchise involved. And sometimes they have additional rules that they want to attach, sometimes last minute. Oh, we're changing our franchise disclosure document, and now you have to do this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't part of the agreement.
Are they just messing with you at that point, or are they literally trying to actually cover something that they forgot?
I like to think that most people are good and decent people.
Same. Sometimes you wonder.
But there are people that, and I can give specifics personally in my business where people just don't pay you and just are hoping that you don't, sue them. And you can work literally in my line of work. I could be promoting a business, a larger business for literally a year, find the buyer, bring the offer, and then they say, oh, we don't need you anymore. And so I have to make the choice. Well, do I want to take this to court or not? And they're hoping I don't, or you settle for less money. So you have to play. Unfortunately, there are people that are dishonest.
So that's different from real estate because there you have, how does that work? Because in real estate, there's like a title company that's in between and make sure the money gets transferred. So for you, you're on your own essentially.
Yeah. Still work with escrow companies and whatnot, but yeah, I don't typically charge upfront fees like other brokers because I don't want to gouge people. I work off a success fee. So I want to get paid when I bring results. However, sometimes people do take advantage of that. And there's other ways, and they just try to find loopholes and get around it. But like I said, I think most people are good and most people mean well, and I try to treat people as I would want to be treated. Yeah. And I think things work out for the best generally.
Sounds like you've learned a few things, maybe the hard way a couple times.
Yeah, you tend to trust people, and that happens.
Oh, that's so sad. That should never happen though.
Yeah.
Oh, bummer. Okay, so first deep question of the day, which I give this out in advance, but what is your definite major purpose? And this has probably changed because you've had career changes. And so as you are going through life now, you have a family and a business that you own, business owner, and you meet a lot of other business owners. Where do you sit personally? What is your purpose?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. So in business, the purpose, I would say, obviously, is to make money. It's all about passivity, becoming absentee owner. It's my business, my friend's business is the people I represent. Their businesses are more valuable when they are passive, when you can leave for a week and a month and the business continues. It continues to cash flow. It's successful. In personal life, though, it's not so much about passivity as activity, frankly, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Because life isn't about money. Once you have established some security and the opportunity, you can continue to make more and more and more money. And I don't think that necessarily makes anyone happy or fulfilled or even successful, frankly. I think in the back of their minds, people think, oh, I'll be successful when I can afford this, or when I can get this many businesses or this grand size. And to each his own. Everyone has different goals, and that's fine. Personally, the goal of money in business is to achieve security and to achieve opportunity. And once I have that, then I want to be fulfilled in other ways as well. And you kind of hinted at some of them. I'm married. I have a family, children. I have a greater family. I have, I belong to a church. I live in a community neighborhood, and the city where I live, my business itself, I try to, be influenced and help other people in my business community as well. And even in my hobbies, there are ways to grow personally while helping others, and even in hobbies. And so I think the business is a big part of life, because you've got to secure, you got to be secure, and you've got to, have opportunity to be where you want to be. But that's just a small piece. And it's really, frankly, to me, it's sad when people fixate 100% all the time on dollars. And so I would just propose that contrast between, passivity in business is fine, but in life, it's about that activity, about action. It's about finding, helping others. And as you help others, you help yourself. And we mentioned earlier about, we don't have to be in the same job our whole lives, 50 years. There's so many great things in this world. There's so many great people in this world. If we just open our eyes, we will learn something from virtually everyone we come in contact with. And those people will bless our lives. And possibly we can even help them and bring a different perspective and allow them in their lives to be their best selves. And whether, they're in a family of 1 or a family of 10, or whether they're in a tiny community or in a huge community, they belong to a church or don't. But there's so many opportunities to grow while blessing others. To me, that's success, that's fulfillment. And it's not, I don't want to call it balance, because I don't believe balance, it's this like unicorn. You can't.
Yeah, it's not like black and white, really.
Yeah. I mean, you do your best, in my opinion. And, if you believe in a higher power, you can pray for help in finding that balance, or in achieving more than maybe you're capable of personally.
I want to dive in on something you said to start out, like on the details of it. And that is which I love the whole concept of, on your business, try to make it get to where you can be as passive as possible there. And then personally be as active as you can be with your family, your friends, your community. That is, man, you nailed it right there. I mean, that's fantastic. But I think one of those is really might be harder to do than the other. And that's when you're in the business, it's your baby and you're trying to make it work, but you can't, it's like really hard to have it be passive. And so what are some suggestions you might have, some steps that people can take to start handing things off to get it into a position where they're not there 24/7?
Yeah. Great question. So I read a book a while ago called, I can't even remember the author, but it was called The Perennial Seller. And one of the things in that book, it wasn't about really selling anything, which I originally thought it was.
It's in the name.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really about creating something lasting, something perennial.
Oh, okay.
And one of the points he made in that book was, don't try to do too many things all at once. Like if you're, don't try to create a great nonprofit and write a novel all at once, for instance, or a great business and start a family all at once. He just says, if you're going to do something lasting and meaningful, that takes a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of effort. Focus on one thing at a time. And so what you just asked is a great question. Like I would say, whatever stage a person's at in their life, find that thing that is most critical in that stage. And that stage may be about making money. Like if you're in your 20s, early 30s, you're trying to establish yourself, get that security, that opportunity that I was talking about. At my stage, where I'm a little older and maybe I have that security and opportunity, I can just work to duplicate, but I want more meaning in my life than that. So I don't know if that answered your question about one thing at a time.
Yeah.
What was the other part?
Well, it's helpful, but if there is something, I mean, is that what how would you go into a business and they hired you as what was your word for the consulting? It was
Consulting.
consulting, and they're like, hey, I don't want to spend 14, 16 hours here at the job anymore. What are some things I can do?
Yeah, the scaling. Great.
Yeah.
Sorry. So I tried to get there, but I got sidetracked. So by the way, coaching is typically more focused on personal yourself, right? And that can happen a lot from just asking the right questions and drawing. I think each one of us actually has most of the answers we seek sometimes within us. And sometimes you just need someone to ask the right questions. Consulting, on the other hand, is more, laser focused on business goals and strategy. Okay. So that's why I call it coaching.
Yeah, that's a good clarification.
But yeah, scaling, sometimes people overthink it. And the bottom line is, if there's something you're doing that someone else can do, then you should do that. And the scary thing about scaling is because people try and then they fall back to the status quo, the norm. Mm-hmm. It's because it's hard. It's hard to train someone how to do it like you want it done, the quality assurance. It takes time. It's hard. And the other problem is it takes money. And a lot of times when people start scaling, they see, I don't know if you've heard of the change continuum, where, you're on this positive trajectory going up, and someone like me says, hey, you have tremendous potential here. We ought to think bigger, and we ought to scale this so that we can go this way instead of this way. And they say, great, let's do it. And then immediately just everything goes to hell, basically. You're losing money. It's more work. It's more time. So people just back into it, back to where they were.
Because they don't know how to do it properly? Okay.
Yeah, and there's some stick-with-itness that it takes to scale. And so what I tell people is I try to prepare them that, look, we'll try to baby step this so we don't hit that, that huge dip and scare you to death. But frankly, it's going to take some time and some effort and some money. And your margins may shrink a little bit. You may suffer a little bit financially from this. But if we can get there and we can all of a sudden replace this person, you're doing all these things and just not, barely living, right? You're just trying to keep your business alive. And if we can offload these things to other people, then all of a sudden you can step away from your business. And now you've set up systems operations where you can just launch it. You literally, you're not beholden to your own time and your own money anymore. It just can fly. And so, I can help people with scaling for sure. A lot of it's common sense, but sometimes you need someone to help get you there.
Yeah. Well, has anyone asked for your advice on how to, this would be the flip side of that, is how to be more active at home and how to, how do I participate more in my community or anything? Have people asked me to help them in their community, or have people asked me to help in the community? Yeah, well, once they find that they're not so caught up in their job, now they've got free time. Now it's like, okay, well, what do I do?
Yeah, I wish people would ask. Not really. Usually what they do, they come back to me and say, oh, now, great. Thanks for helping me sell that business. Now, and they start another one, and then I help them sell that business. Yeah. Or it's when you're an entrepreneur, it's a bug, right? Yeah. It's exciting to start something and to help it grow and then to get paid for it. And so some people are just on that perpetual cycle of doing that a lot. Mm-hmm. And you know what? Like I said, if that brings them fulfillment and happiness, because you are building something good and you are probably helping people in the process. So I'm not trying to disparage that lifestyle, but I think there comes a point where maybe people should pivot a little bit in their lives and say, wow, I live in an amazing world. Look around a little bit instead of just churn and burn, you know?
Yeah. Well, churn and burn will burn you out probably. Yeah. You seem I'm getting the vibe that you're fairly comfortable with where you're at personally in life. Do you think this is what you'll be doing until you're not working anymore, or you want to do something else? You have ambitions?
Yeah. I think I'll keep doing what I'm doing and until I retire, I suspect. My wife keeps talking about retiring early. And so, yeah, I think we're probably going to try to retire early, but I don't foresee me, like I said earlier, a lot of happiness for me is in being engaged and active. And part of that is it's selfless, but selfish at the same time, because as you reach out in your community or even in business to help others, in your family, certainly, right? As you try to serve and sacrifice, it always comes back, and you always learn more and you grow from it. And so, business is just one of those categories.
Well, we have a mutual friend, Rex, who's a financial planner, and he talks about helping people transition into retirement. And boy, it got me thinking too. I'm like, I could talk to people forever. Like I don't want to retire from podcasting necessarily. I want to retire from the chase or the hustle or trying to make ends meet. You want to have enough money there that's okay, but you still want to be active in some way and involved, right? I mean, you don't want to just like,
yeah. So, and it may be a variation. Like you may actually take this thing on the road, or buy 100%. One that goes on the road and start doing gigs, doing podcasts around the nation.
Different version of,
So we all get, my business may continue to grow and I might expand, or not. Maybe I'll end up doing something else to help, like I did with schools, do something else. But whatever it is, I want to continue to learn and grow. And I think, sometimes money is so important in our world. We just fixate on it so much. And there comes a point where I think we just need to step back and say, oh, look, I'm okay. Like what else would help me be fulfilled in life? And like I said, if you believe in a higher power, if you don't, ponder, like meditate and just think, and it will help you identify areas that are lacking in your life and give those a little bit of energy, and guaranteed suddenly you'll see other opportunities for growth that will be super meaningful to you, whether money's coming in for it or not.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I love the question, what is your definite major purpose? Because I feel like people don't ask themselves that question. They don't have the mission, the one thing that they're shooting for. They're just working the job, doing the thing. When if you meditate, if you think about it, pray about it, and just think like, okay, well, is there something else I should be doing? Like how can I contribute?
I mean, to be very personal. So, I think we've all been given common sense. So I think there's a lot of good I can do, you can do, just by using common sense throughout life. And as we progress through life, as we get older and wiser, we gain some good judgment, and I think we can draw on that good judgment as obstacles hit us, and we can say, oh, I remember this from before, or whatever. There's so much wisdom out there that we can draw on, apart from my own common sense and good judgment. If ever on big decisions, I think we need to do a little more research and look online, like research things out, and there's wisdom that we can draw from. But even then, I personally truly believe that no matter how hard I try, I'm going, even if I'm doing good things or better things because of that good judgment and wisdom, I feel like I'm still not always maximizing my potential. And so I try to allow myself to receive, inspiration, help from this higher power to help me in my life. And it may sound corny, but I believe in it. I have faith in it. And I find that as I allow myself to say, hey, look, I'm going to do my best. But guess what? When that fails, can you help me?
Sure.
Can you put me back on the right track? And I'm telling you, I go to bed at night and I'm like, how was that day so meaningful? There's no way that was just me. And it's just little things here and there. And I think we all have the opportunity to be better than we can be ourselves if we just open ourselves up to more possibilities.
Yeah, not always easy. Sometimes we're closed. Either we've been hurt or we just don't know how. We're insecure or something to do that. But no, it's great. Great wisdom from you. Thanks for spending some time with me today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, sorry to wax spiritual on you there.
That's why we're here. If someone needs your services, Mike, how can they get a hold of you?
Businessresource.com. You have to pretend you're in first grade. It's spelled with a Z. So
I'll link it in the description, by the way, but go ahead and spell it.
Yeah, BIZNIS resource.com. And then you can obviously message us on the website or call. My phone number is 385-528-8584. You could actually, maybe it would be easiest just a text and say, hey, saw the podcast, love to chat, and we can schedule a time. But yeah, I try to be helpful, and sometimes it turns into a client, sometimes it doesn't. But I truly believe that what comes around goes around.
Yeah.
And so
yeah, I love it. Thanks, Mike, for your time today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I do have some wisdom from the pages, and this is from the book, The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel, and it kind of sums up what we were talking about today. Actually, he says, having more control over your time and options is becoming one of the most valuable currencies in the world, which is kind of, Mike, what you were saying. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Ascent Life. We'll be back we'll be back next week. I was going to say tomorrow. We'll be back next week. If you made it this far in the program, please subscribe on YouTube at R. Brandon Long, or on the Ascent Life podcast or your favorite podcast app. Follow me on X at R. Brandon Long. For your daily dose of visual inspiration, I can be found at Ascent Life. Thanks for joining me on this journey as we learn how to level up and become the best version of ourselves. No wasted ability. We'll catch you next week on Ascent Life.